Here we are in Cherry Springs, Texas, population 25. I'm standing in the original Cherry Springs Dance Hall. This was built decades ago. The most significant factor here, Elvis played here on October 9th, 1955. He was an opening act for Johnny Cash. He was with Wanda Jackson and Johnny Horton. Scotty and Bill were here, of course, really kind of in the middle of nowhere in central Texas, but it's on a major thoroughfare, and I guess it drew a lot of the people from the vicinities, the smaller towns, and it's just a big dance hall. So many artists have played here. It's been rumored that Hank Williams played here, Patsy Cline has played here, but as you can see, the original stage up here to my right, this is the original dance floor, and the history in here is crazy. So many people have gone by here and probably have no idea that Elvis played here. It's crazy. We understand that the owner is hoping to get the place restored. As you can see, the bar in the corner. As you can kind of see, this dance hall's morphed a bit over the years. It's been different businesses, and it actually was open until 2015. It was being used in some capacity, but as you can see, it's now closed, empty. No business of any kind is going on in here. And the great history of this goes back to the 50s. Again, Elvis playing here on October 9th, 1955. Man, it's just rich music history right here. So yesterday, we're in Brady, Texas, and we interviewed a couple that had seen Elvis in 1955. The gentleman saw Elvis here on October 9th, 1955. In fact, he had some great stories. He hung out with Elvis, chatted with him a bit about motorcycles and cars. But most intriguing, he kind of dropped a bombshell on us. And now you saw Elvis in 55, but at a different show.
Cherry Springs, and he was the opening act.
Okay.
So I caught him out by the tree on his break. He had about a 45-minute break, so I was out there with him the whole time. And we talked about, he's talking about school and stuff like that. And he liked motorcycles, and we talked about that, and cars, of course. And while I'm talking to him, a friend of mine here was taking his hubcaps off of his Cadillac he had there.
You're kidding.
So I called him up here not long ago. I told him, I said, I want to buy those hubcaps. And he said, I gave them away. About halfway through, Johnny Horton came out. This was kind of odd. Elvis says, come here, Johnny, I want to introduce you to a good friend of mine, Robert. And I hear I just met Elvis.
Right, right.
And so we started talking, Johnny started talking, and we just had a heck of a time out there. And then
Sure.
He went back in, did another part of the show, and sang That's All Right, Mama. And it was a good time with him.
No, and just to recap so I'm clear, you were talking to him, and someone you knew was stealing his hubcaps.
He just lives across the road over here.
Yeah, you can see his house over here.
But yeah, he was taking the hubcaps. And I didn't know that until later on.
Right.
So we were sitting around a dinner table at his house one night, my brother and I, and we were talking about Elvis.
Sure.
He said, well, I got his hubcaps out there hanging in the garage. So we went out and looked at them, and I thought, well, I'll be darned. I said, you want to get rid of them? He said, no, I'm going to keep those. Then when we get back here, it wasn't too long ago, I called him and I said, I'd like to buy those hubcaps off of you. I'll give you $50 a piece for them.
Right.
He said, I just gave them away about a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, no. No. So this is recent.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I felt like hanging the phone up, but I didn't.
Did he give them away to a fan or just to somebody?
Just somebody here in town.
Wow.
Yodel.
Yeah, we might want to track that person down. Do you know the name at all? Well, we tracked that guy down. He's now an elderly man. In fact, he's a deacon at a church, of all things. But when I brought up the hubcap story to him, he wasn't receptive at all. He clearly didn't want to discuss it. Guilty, I'd say guilty. And he came across that way as very defensive. So We're hoping to interview him today where he might say, yeah, as a kid then, but that's not the case. He didn't want to discuss it. But this is the venue that Elvis got the hubcap stolen off his Cadillac. What's most intriguing, we wanted to speak to the guy that stole them. We heard you recently sold the hubcaps, just as old hubcaps, just a few weeks ago. So he's had the hubcaps all these decades, sold them to somebody that probably has no idea they're connected to Elvis and they came off Elvis's Cadillac. So that's all local folklore. But we heard it from a gentleman that we interviewed who was here and witnessed it. And the guy that's still living, I spoke with this morning, but again, he was not receptive. So it seems to be a very factual, interesting story. So you're from this vicinity, though, originally. And you are, how far was the town you were from? Far from?
We lived about 15 miles apart.
In San Saba and Rochelle.
Did you know each other at all?
Not at all.
Never crossed paths in any high school event or anything?
We went to everything. We went to all the many events through our lives, and we're at the same events many times and never connected, never met until we got here.
And this is recent?
Yeah, like 6 months ago, less than that.
Wow.
And it was just kind of star-kissed. I've got dementia and I can't leave. This is where I'm going to be.
Sure.
And he had hurt himself at the ranch and couldn't walk. And so they had to bring him in for care.
Okay.
And we just met up, and it was kind of magical.
At what point did you talk about having seen Elvis? Was that like after a while you got to know each other and you just started sharing? Or?
Well, I took her out to the ranch and I showed her the picture I
He
had
showed me this.
Okay.
of Elvis. I got several others out there with him and Johnny Horton.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I showed him mine, my picture.
I see. So then you compared notes. And,
His was better than mine, but that's okay.
no, it's great. So when you went to see Elvis in Cherry Springs, did a bunch of buddies go, or just you went solo, or?
No, it was a gentleman, but S.P. Tomlinson and I went.
Okay.
And we went to school together here. He's passed away since. But his mother and dad had the dairy here in Brady.
Okay.
And we ran around together, double dated with a bunch of women.
I was in Brownwood at the Louisiana hayride.
Okay.
And I think it was in 1955.
55 would be correct.
Yes.
Okay.
And he was there, and we went with a bunch of girls. One night, I'm from San Saba, so it's a 45-mile trip over there. And so we went one night, and we had a ball. We went to the concert. After the concert, one of the girls said, "Let's go get a picture." I didn't know you could get a picture. What do I know? And so we went up there, and we got in line, and we got our pictures, and we got our money. I don't know what it cost. I don't know where I got the money.
Right.
It was in my pocket, and I got it. And we got on stage, and we stood in line, and he just grabbed our pictures one at a time and signed it, "Love you, Elvis Presley." And everybody's was signed the exact same way. And then we left, and I went home and glued mine into a picture album, of course, with all the names and signatures glued to the picture album. So its value is not much, but the sentiment is there.
Absolutely.
And the main thing I might remember is his procedure on the stage at that point was not the gyrations, but he was pulling up his pants all the time. That was his gyration, was reach down and pull up his pants. And this was like very early on, you know.
Sure.
And moving on, that was the end of the story.
And now you saw Elvis in 55, but at a different show.
Cherry Springs. He went back into another part of the show and sang "That's All Right, Mama." And that was just getting started.
Sure.
And I forgot what other songs he sings. About 3 other different songs.
Interesting. Yeah, it's not listing some of the other artists. It's They clearly.
It did on the front part,
Oh,
but I don't have the front part.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay, we got part 2 of the newspaper article. I see. Okay.
Johnny signed it upside down.
So we got Love Elvis Presley. Love ya, Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
Love ya.
Which is Johnny Horton.
Yeah.
So were you more of a Johnny Horton fan, or?
After 1955, 1956, I went in the Navy. And
Okay.
I was stationed in Honolulu for 2 years.
Wow.
I belonged to the fan club, Elvis. And right in there, you need to get him over here. So finally he came over. So yeah, it was a good time with him.
Did you ever dream Elvis would become the Elvis that is known today, even though he passed 45 plus years ago? I mean, he's a huge, huge phenomenon. Did you ever?
Well, when I was in Honolulu, second time over, I thought, he's going to go places.
Right,
And he did.
right.
Yeah.
So you kind of knew. You kind of.
And I appreciate him because he donated money for that thing.
War
It goes
Memorial.
over. Yeah, and when I was stationed at Fort Allen for 3 months, they needed somebody to raise the flag in the morning on Arizona,
Sure.
and I volunteered, and that's what I did. And
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating. So you play piano.
Yes, sir.
Um,
Have forever. And I can play I know the words and can play anything I can think of.
okay. And there's a piano here.
Yeah, right there.
You want to play for us?
You betcha.
Okay. All right. Let's do it.
And honey bunny, if you don't want to record any of this, you won't hurt my feelings. One iota.